Boom! What's going on, guys? Energy News Beat, episode number 172 here on this gorgeous Thursday, December 3rd, 2020. As always, I'm your humble correspondent, Michael Taylor, coming to you from an undisclosed location here in Denver, Colorado. As always, joined by the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, and the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, oilandgas360.com, Stuart Turley. You were busy watching OPEC this morning. How you doing?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and they didn't have us do it, so they're lost.
I was really sad. I was hoping I had a couple good lines I was ready, but it's all right. Looks like they're doing monthly meetings as you're going to cover, so we'll make sure if we can sneak in one of these months and cover it, guys. You can check out what we got on the show here by the rundown. We'll cover all that and a bag of chips, including the equities markets. But first, guys, just subscribe to this YouTube channel, Oil and Gas 360/Enercom, the best place to stay up to date on all of the energy beat news. Quickly touching on the equity markets, there's a couple things I want to cover. First, there was, market was fairly flat today. If we go top line numbers, quarter of a percentage point for the SPY, quarter of a percentage point for NASDAQ, half a percentage point for Dow Jones, off of a couple reasons. One, better than expected labor market data actually lifted sentiment a little bit. First-time jobless claims, first-time claims for unemployment insurance totaled 712,000, lower than the estimated 780,000. We're also eyeing the jobs report, which drops this Friday, 440,000 jobs expected, which is supposed to be a decrease to 6.7% in terms of the overall unemployment rate. So two numbers on the economic side that traders are watching. On Capitol Hill, now House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer also issued a joint statement calling on Republicans to work with them on another round of coronavirus relief funding. They also issued some sort of bipartisan proposal from Senate moderates. What's funny is that's the quote, using a bipartisan proposal from Senate moderates, aka just moderate Democrats. It's bipartisan now when you have the left wing and the moderate Democrats coming together and finding something. That's considered bipartisan now. It's funny how they're starting to slip that in here, Stu. So just want to cover that. Moving over into the crude oil side. Crude's up a percentage point today. Really, OPEC. What's funny is OPEC, as Stu's going to cover, technically should be a bearish news. The problem was it actually was probably less than what a lot of people were expecting. So that's the sentiment go. Also, the UK rolling out a vaccine is good for market sentiment. 45.77. That's 1.5% on the upside. Back end of the curve is only up 0.3 percentage point. So that long-term effect on what's happening with the vaccine, not as much. Who would have thought? Natural gas takes an absolute pounding today, down 8.8 percentage points, $2.53 off weak storage draw data. We'll cover that coming up. $2.96. 5% on the back end of the curve. Energy equities and OIH outperformed today, up 2.5 percentage points and 2.56 percentage points, respectively. On the downside, though, for equities, we still some numbers, though. EQT down big, Cabot Oil and Gas down big, Peabody Energy down big, Silverbow Resources down big. On the upside, some good numbers. Cosmos Energy up 8 percentage points, Western Midstream up 9, Phoenix Minerals up 12, QEP having themselves a great day, up 13 percentage points. Remember, they're talking about being either acquired by Diamondback or Ovitin. You know who we're going to vote to try to acquire them, and it's not Ovitin. So you can just put the rest of it together. Biggest one is TransGlobe Energy on the upside. They're up 46 percentage points. Before we dive into the international news desk, guys, and tell you about what's going on with OPEC, I need to tell you that the show is powered by Data Gumbo, which is an award-winning technology company with customers all around the world who build, manage, automate their own smart contract. Data Gumbo smart contracts offer a new approach to commercial relationships, one that reduces friction to deliver streamlined operations, increased transactional certainty, and cost savings. Every transaction is accurate, certain, touchless, and automated and powered via the Gumbo net. Go get yourself a big helping of Data Gumbo via their website, www.datagumbo.com. It was supposed to happen on Monday, Stu. They delayed till today because the UAE, Russia, Saudi couldn't figure it out. We finally have a resolution. What's going on with OPEC?
How do you determine a resolution? Okay, just kidding.
They at least came out with an answer, and we're gonna, you know what I mean.
Let me cover it. Here's our graphics department to our fans. Okay, look at this. Hey, in London, they came back through and they said, we're going to decrease production by how much, Michael? 500,000 barrels per day beginning in January. This will bring the total production cuts at the start of 2021 to
it's a production hike, Stu. I don't mean to cut in on you. It's a production hike of 500,000 barrels.
Increase, thank you. Increase production, thank you, to 7.2 million barrels per day. Now, what does that really mean? Absolutely nothing.
Yep.
The
And you
7
can see it
point,
in the markets. OPEC agrees to a production hike of 500,000 barrels a day, and oil price rises 1 percentage point. So your
they
face you're making is exactly right. It means absolutely nothing to the market.
it means nothing, and it's because they have no control over their kids. They have do not have a big enough newspaper to smack them around and keep them in
And the
line.
market's telling them that. The market in previous years, the
Yes,
market would be down $2-3. We'd be short selling off the dip. Unbelievable, really. It's exactly selling off the dip, dancing in the profits.
yeah. No, it doesn't happen that way, man. Basically, nobody can believe anything they say. They're almost. I feel sorry for them. They're
You've been
almost
on this for a
politicians.
while, and I think this news story reaffirms your position that the market does not believe anything OPEC says anymore. You've been on it for a while. This is proof. Proof's in the pudding.
That's right. And all they need to do now is run for a political office, and people will believe them. Okay, now we're moving on. Whoa, that was
Yikes.
funny. That was funny,
Yikes.
actually.
It was because it was kind of true.
Okay, Exxon. Here we are. Boom. Now look at this graphic. This dude. Look at that bad dog. Wow, that's a big one. Okay, here we go. Exxon Mobil in negotiations to acquire stake in India's oil and gas field. This is opportunistic on large margins. So we had talked to one of our fans today about how the big boys are going to take really focus in on the big opportunities. And we love our fans, by the way. I give a shout out to our fans and family. This one, in October of last year, ExxonMobil signed the first memorandum of understanding. You know what a memorandum of understanding is, don't you?
Yeah, they're basically going to help. They're going to help out. Hey, we're going to do business together, and we may not have an agreement, but we have an understanding that we're going to do business together.
Right. It's an MOU. Okay. However, they would be in the large blocks of the KG Basin block, KG-6 to produce.
Isn't
This is
something
big.
interesting? It is big, and something interesting in there. And correct me if I'm wrong. I love that they also said their goal is to get small and mid-sized producers in the whole
Yes.
region. Doesn't it say that in there? Which I thought was great. They're not just going to go completely nationalize the oil industry. It's actually going to be a capitalism, which we love. You've been on. You love India. We love Prime Minister Modi over there. That's what I thought the nugget was in that one.
Well, the nugget is also that they are managing money finally nicely in this one instance. Okay, going over here to Petrobras. We love Brazil. The CEO, Castillo Branco, basically said they've got some ESG problems in permitting. These problems have to be solved in their drilling acreage with licensing right now. He is throwing his mic. He almost did a mic drop on this one. This has to be resolved, he said, as he's talking about the environmental licensing problem during the interview at the Rio Oil and Gas. We have big oil prospects here, and we are prohibited while Guyana is enjoying and momenting up. So it's a real political battle between Guyana and Brazil. We'll be keeping an eye on that. But boy, Petrobras CEO, he's fighting for Brazil. He loves his country.
He is, and didn't he come out yesterday and say something about 20? All those ESG people. He's on the same train with me about abs. It's off into the future.
I like him. He's a straight shooter, and he's an honorary Texican. He's from Texas. So, all right, real quick, Saudi sovereign fund. They're going to seek out to loan $7 billion. We're in. Let's go do that. $7 billion.
Yeah, we're in. I'm in. I'll take some.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just I think it's interesting. They're borrowing money again for the sovereign wealth fund borrowing money again. They just repaid a $10 billion loan.
Yes,
everybody's borrowing money nowadays. It's unbelievable. And this is again something that it's actually probably one of our top hit articles. It's oil profitability around the world and the break-even point for all. This points to why $45 oil isn't enough around the world, because the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi is borrowing $7 billion in order to stay afloat. Yeek.
and pay their dividend.
Yeah, that's Aramco, so it's a little different. But it's crazy to think about.
They're intertwined.
Yeah. You anything else on the international side for the day?
No, I'm wiped out.
You were busy. You could finally stop worrying about OPEC, but they're meeting monthly now. Holy smokes, we're going to have to tune in every single month. Kill me now.
Michael, you know what that means?
What?
Nothing.
I knew exactly you were going to say that. On the U.S. side, I got a couple stories here, guys. Natural gas inventories drop. As I mentioned, natural gas was down 9 percentage points, currently trading $2.52. Well, guys, that was because we were expecting a 15 to 32 billion cubic feet draw. We only saw a 1 billion cubic feet draw. Might as well have been a stock raise. Unbelievable. That sent markets tanking. We're supposed to be in a draw period right now. We're now building natural gas. Again, this has to do with probably some of the lockdowns that are happening around the country. I know Denver's getting close. New York just went there. Los Angeles just went down there. So as we stop seeing movement around the country, you're going to start seeing, they're going to see increased natural gas. But this is why the market's down so heavily, because this is not a season where we should be gaining natural gas. We should be drawing it in droves. Other thing, private equity, Double Eagle Point Energy announced today that it was Monday night, which I forgot to run yesterday. So Stu, you're allowed to make fun of me. I couldn't get to this story yesterday. This ran Monday night, so I should have ran it yesterday, but excuse it. Double Eagle, they get $650 million of a private placement. I love this. It's $650 million of debt, principal amount with 7.57 senior notes due in 2025. What do they say they're going to do with it? They're going to use it to pay outstanding debt. Raising debt to buy more debt. Gotta love it. They're doing it in Saudi. They're doing it in America, guys. Let's bring it close to home. The other thing that is Chevron setting their capital expenditures for 2021. Exploratory budget moved down to $14 billion. If you can remember at the beginning of the year, it was 19 to 22 billion. That range is now 14 to 16 billion. But they definitely said they're going to there's some longer term the longer term spending plan that they had for the Noble acquisition looks like they're winding that down a little bit. They're also prioritizing investments that are expected to grow long-term value, deliver high returns and lower carbon, including $300 million in 2021 for investments to advance the energy transition. So they're second thing on their menu when they're talking about cutting their capex is how they're still investing in the energy transition, carbon capture technologies, things like this. We were talking yesterday. I had a great interview yesterday. We won't tease it quite yet. We'll release it next week. We were talking about the energy transition and how really it's not that these companies are saying one thing and doing the other. It's that they understand that the transition is going to happen slowly. And first, the investment has to happen, and then the move does, because they want to make sure that they have the stuff in place. So it's a fascinating conversation I had with somebody at the American Petroleum Institute. We'll probably air that next week. Little teaser. But I thought it was interesting, too. Did you find anything interesting in Chevron's release?
No.
Very simple. As you mean, much like OPEC, nothing. It's been a pretty busy week, guys. We thank you for tuning in. We miss anything today, Stu?
Oh, you bet we did. Do you know what you and Andrew Cuomo have in common?
Oh, me and Meatball? I don't know.
No, you both are a walking target for jokes.
That's fair enough. I hope that's the only time you compare me to that guy. And unfortunately, guys, we're gonna have to leave you with that analogy. Thank you for checking out the world's greatest website, oilandgas360.com, the Energy Newsbeat. For Stuart Turley, I'm Michael Andrew Cuomo Tanner. I will see you tomorrow for the Energy Newsbeat. See, guys, I'm not Cuomo.